Hello, future people. Welcome to Getting Tabled. I'm Jason the Bruce, and today we're going to be having a look at something that's quite important for me.
This journey began as a conversation about 80s nostalgia and why we felt that He-Man was the perfect idea for a war game. CMON had a very similar idea. My name is Jason the Bruce. I've been a critic of CMON, and this is my journey into the Masters of the Universe Clash for Eternia.
If you're not aware of why this is important to me, that's perfectly fine. It comes from a couple of different angles. I mean, for starters, yes, I am old enough that I grew up with He-Man. But it's probably not the number one as far as franchises for me is concerned. I'd be interested to know if you know what my number one from the 80s would be. Because I don't know. I don't know if you'd know. I don't even know if I know. It'd be between two, probably. But it's not just as simple as that. See, there was a conversation that took place about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago now, on the podcast, where I kind of raised the subject of there's a lot of really good stuff from the 80s that would just lend itself very, very easily to board gaming and wargaming. Now, I was talking about wargaming at the time. This is one of the examples I used, quite literally. And then it was roughly 6 to 8 months later that it got announced that we weren't just getting a game, we were getting two of them. CMON had most of the world, all except for Europe, which was Archon. I had mixed opinions. I, at the time, felt guilty about the fact that I supported this because of how I feel. I don't back down from my opinion of CMON. I mean, they do really good products. None of my arguments have anything to do with that. It's generally the problem I have with CMON is that there's a lot of their games that don't belong on Kickstarter. Zombicide and Marvel United are among them. They don't belong on Kickstarter. They should not be there. It's not the platform for those sort of things. I would argue that CMON know it, but they have trained their audience so well to expect it at this point that they can just get away with it. And look, it's business. That's fine. I don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with me. That's just how I feel. But that's why I come at this with very strong mixed feelings. Because I really, really want to like this. Like, you have no idea how important it is for me for this to be good. But at the same time, I don't know. So, in today's video, we're going to be having a look at Clash of Eternia, which is the main box set. So, here we are with Clash of Eternia. This is the main box. This is the main game. Really, really looking forward to having a look on the inside. Bit of a more detailed look on the back here. Looking at some of this, this does feel very much like the reskinned Zombicide that I thought we might be getting. That's not a criticism, if I'm right. It kind of makes sense. I mean, Zombicide is their own thing, and if it works, why reinvent it? I could be wrong. These feel very much like the plastics from Zombicide, but with a slightly more rocky texture around them. Like I said, that's not a criticism. But otherwise, box is looking nice. Good thick card, so it'll last you a nice time. All right, here we are on the inside of the box. You will have noticed a slight cut there. That's because I removed this out of the box because this is a free content thing. I don't know if this is exclusive to me or not, and I don't want to have my access to it taken away. So that's mine. We have two books in here. We have our regular rulebook as well as the scenarios. I will definitely be looking at this one. I'm not going to be looking at the inside of this one because I fear there may be spoilers in this, and I don't want to spoil this for myself, let alone for you guys that may be still waiting on your copy. We've also got the game board. Nice, really thick cardboard here for the game board, which is what you would expect from CMON at this point, but it's really nice to see because it is something that a lot of other companies are trying to skimp out on lately. Slightly thinner
for the card on the tokens, but that's still like really nice. And then here we have a control board type thing for the game. All right. And here we have the 2D version of the terrain. Really nice, bright contrast. Really, really good. It's going to be interesting to see how these compare to the 3D versions that we will be unboxing in a different video. I really love these in particular, the plants. They're really, really nice. I've made no decisions at this stage as to how I wish to paint mine, as in the 3D ones. I might just try to keep them nice and simple, maybe. Or maybe I'll try and recreate this just very easily. I really do love this at the moment, though. Like, this is really pretty. All right. And here we are with the rulebook. Before I get into anything else, we're not going to read all of this. We're just going to kind of have a browse through, just to see what we should be expecting. So here we have a look at the minis that we should be expecting. Some heroes, some are extras. So there's 8 of each. The tokens that come with it. Everything that we should be expecting. Just as a reminder, I will not be looking at the contents of this particular item because I don't want to spoil it for people that wish to see it for themselves. We do get the AI character cards in here if we're wanting to play against the game itself. Bit of an introduction. Artwork in this is really nice. I don't know who. I suspect this might be original art as opposed to their creation. Everything seems to be laid out quite nicely, which is good. I will not be painting my Evil Lyn to look like she's yellow, personally. I prefer the more human look that she's had in the cartoons. Really, really liking what I'm seeing so far. As far as the layout and everything is concerned, anyway. The good thing about this is that for those that are not too familiar with the world, it gives them a really easy way to judge how things are supposed to be painted. Because everything's nice and bold like this, it just gives you a really good idea. And a nice summary. So this is one of the Zombicide reskin things that I was alluding to earlier. Like, this does feel very much like the zombies, like the zombies control area, like we saw with Zombicide. I could be wrong on that, and even if I'm not, it's not actually a criticism. There's companies that recycle things from board games all the time, and if they've felt that this works, then they felt that this works. Like I said, this is not a criticism. It's just, this reminds me very much of the one from Zombicide, but with some Masters of the Universe He-Man. We also have the player controller area. There's 4 of these. Again, feels very much like the Zombicide ones. It's not a criticism. I'm trying to make that very clear. It's not a criticism. The underside's kind of fairly average. Like, there's nothing really underneath. There doesn't need to be. But as far as a reskin is concerned, these look really nice. I won't be bothering to paint these up at all. I just don't see the point. We've also got some lovely marbleized tokens here. These are really nice, honestly. And some dice. I don't think there's much point rolling these dice on camera. We also have 3 decks of cards with 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces, one of which is quite large. I will show you that. So these all go in here. There's a giant area here that has nothing in it. So we've got extra storage here for something. I don't know what. And clearly this can easily be split up if you needed to. All right. So here we are with our first mini. It's quite nice, actually. The detail on this is phenomenal. The The material is your usual board game plastic. Like, there's nothing spectacular about this, but you're not expecting that at this point. This is a board game. You are expecting board game materials. But make no mistake, the detail and the fine detail on this is really, really good. Now, CMON are known for having really good quality minis. Are they the best on the market? No. I mean, I know that there are people that say that they are, but I'm sorry, but there are people out there with higher quality in the miniature space. But I also feel that that's a completely irrelevant point because, quite frankly, like, if you're buying a board game, you're not buying it for fine quality details. You're expecting good details, and this is much better than just good. There is actually a lovely Masters of the Universe logo underneath. I suspect that all of these are numbered according to which miniature it is. So next up we have one of the Hordak drones, or at least that's what I know them as. Really, really lovely still. Simple detail. Like, this is very, very clearly supposed to be... it's very clearly supposed to be cartoon accurate, as opposed to anything else. Like, this is not trying to look like the toys. It's very clearly trying to look like the cartoon did. This is one of our Eternian soldiers with his big Danax. At least that's what I'm calling it. I'm sure they don't call it a Danax because of course they're on another planet. We have another one here that has a mace and a shield. Really, really good detail in these. You got 4 of those of that sculpt, and then you have 4 of this sculpt as well. Really, really nice stuff. For the record, there was 2 of these, and there was 8 of those. Here is one of the main men. This is He-Man on Battle Cat. Love the fur texture that we're getting on Battle Cat. I don't know how clear it is on camera, but the stripes are actually in the details, which will make painting those a lot easier, rather than having to guess where they were supposed to be. I really, really love the detail on this. It's phenomenal. On the other side of things, we have Skeletor on Panther. Looks like he's skulking and looking over the top of a rock. Either that or he's being humiliated and holding his head down, but no. I choose to believe that he's looking out over a rock at something underneath. Skeletor's staff is nice and detailed, but it doesn't feel like it's going to snap either. Like, the actual rod feels nice and thick. It's also quite nice and straight, which is not something you often get with board game miniatures. They're quite often really badly warped, but these so far seem to be holding up quite well. We also have He-Man on foot, because he has the power. Again, I'm quite shocked at how well these swords are straight. Skeletor's staff, again, slightly different pose, but it's all straight. There's no warpage on that at all. Detail on these is phenomenal. Next up, we have Beastman. This is just going to be a joy to paint this one. The washers will do all the work for you. Paint him up in a nice orange and then give him a red wash, and then dry brush him back up again. Add a few browns in there for texture. Trapjaw. Lovely detail. Merman. Lovely, lovely details, as always. Triclops. Sort of like the swords and everything. They're really straight. Evelyn. Yes, I know it's evil, Lynn. I'm being smart. Man-at-Arms. Has a nice rifle. Help separate him from his troops a little bit. Tila. Got a hair up. Quite nice. Orko. Here's a character that you either loved or hated as a child. One or the other. Very few people that had a middle ground on Orko. It was usually one or the other. Ram Man. Nice, beefy and chunky. Which I like. And Stratos. Has his jetpack going off to help it look like he's airborne. Might be slightly more difficult to paint this one, honestly, because that's going to be quite difficult to get your paint in there. Or somewhat impossible in the case of his back. I would be just suggesting just to do what you can. You're not going to be able to get a perfect paint job on that, unfortunately, because of the way it's been sculpted. Assuming that you're going to paint them at all. A lot of people may not. The last thing in here are 3 bases. All right, starting with the first of the 3 decks. This is what I assume is going to have the regular cards as well as our AI versions. Starting with He-Man here. Obviously, I have no... There's been updates saying about how the game works from start to finish, but I'm not going to be commenting too much about how all of these characters run, because I don't have any experience with the game myself yet, and I would rather hold on to it until then. Lovely artwork on the back. So this is an AI character. So that answers my first question. Same thing here for Man-at-Arms. So yeah, we're starting with the AI stuff. Ram Man. Orko. Again, character that people either loved or hated. Tila. I will say this, I also like the fact that their artwork also represents what the mini looks like. Because, as we've seen from the minis, this is literally how they're posed. Is it just me, or does her sword look a little bit like the Sword of Omens? Stratos. Everybody's favourite hero. Yeah, He-Man. Beastman. Another fan favourite. Evil Lyn. Anybody else not know that it was Evelyn until they were older? I know that there were quite a few of us, but I don't think that makes us any less embarrassed. Triclops. Lovely, lovely work. I like the fact with his pose here, it almost looks like he's just fired the gun and he's kind of dealing with the recoil, if that makes sense. That's how it looks like to me, anyway. Because it's kind of a little bit of an unnatural pose, but I think it's deliberate. Water sword. Lovely. And now we're getting into the regular stuff. So at first glance, you'd be looking at this going, okay, so they are slightly different. But if you flip this over, now you'll see they are more or less the same. I mean, there is more on this. This can do more than that can. But they do look rather similar. Man-at-Arms. Again, appears to look slightly different. But he is this time. So they are slightly different. I'm not going to show all of them. From here on, if you would like to see the rest, Feel free to go and pause earlier in the videos. So we have Ram Man here. Orko. So we're going to be getting into the same artwork at this stage. Tila. Doesn't seem to matter which way I turn these. I seem to continue getting them upside down. Gorgeous colours on Skeletor. Beastman. Evelyn. Yeah, I finally got one the right way up. And then we have him mounted. So these were not in the AI deck. They are very clearly only for when we have them ourselves. I will say as well, lovely high quality card. This does appear to be plastic coated as well. So these are going to hold up quite well over time. We do have 5 player aids, which is interesting. Got some attack and advance cards. An empowered attack. Activate skill. I'm only going to skim through these again. On the back of these, we have the character activation. So these are for your AI. This is your AI deck. And that continues through to here with your strategy. There's your rules for your AI character activations. Now we're getting into some of our other things here. Queen Eternia, King Randor, Prince Adam, Cringer, and we got some terrain options, which are all from those tokens we were looking at earlier. And then last but not least, we have the mini cards, which are... So in our mini card decks, we have a couple of different things. We have some decks that are very clearly actual decks. So this is our strategy deck, for example. Comes with a whole heap of different things. So this is clearly something we will be drawing from at some point. We have a controller deck, some of which I've gotten backwards. So these are the characters that we are activating by the look of it. And then we have our player deck, which seems to be the same thing. So I don't know how these work at this stage, but I will be finding that out in time. This is something that I will comment more on later once I've actually played the game properly for myself. These last 3 are not really decks per se, but appeared to be skills and items type stuff for the various characters. And we got the same thing here, but for the heroes. And last but not least, we have a reserves card, a command card, an empower card, and a battle plan, all of which are double-sided. So it'll take time for me to figure out exactly how these work and what they are, but that's what they look like. So what am I thinking so far? In all honesty, so far I'm very impressed. I'm only 1 box in at this stage.
Obviously, there's more to come after this. I will also be giving a somewhat of a review after I played this for the first time. I don't know when exactly that'll be. But so far, it's hard not to be impressed with the contents. Like, the contents of these boxes are phenomenal. The value that you've gotten from this Kickstarter is out of this world. It's kind of why they have a following on Kickstarter, because the deal that you get through Kickstarter is just so much better. Um, does it change how I feel? No, no. But I do think I can be a fan of this without feeling guilty. I mean, this is something I've always wanted. It's something that I thought the industry seriously had room for. And this is something that genuinely was a risk. I mean, yes, we had the recent series at that point, but we really didn't know how that series was going to go. Just because it turned out to be really good quality didn't make this any less of a risk, because at the stage when this was kickstarted, we didn't know that. Um, this is, I'm really happy so far.